Commander Red stared at the blue planet through the scout ship's observation window, their four eyes blinking in sequence as they processed the initial scans. Earth looked peaceful from orbit, almost too peaceful for a species known to have mastered nuclear fusion and basic space travel. "Status report," Red commanded, turning to face the three crew members at their monitoring stations. The scout ship hung in high orbit, its advanced cloaking systems making it invisible to Earth's primitive detection systems. "Population centers appear randomly distributed," Commander Officer Blue reported, their fingers dancing across the holographic display. "No logical military organization visible from our scans. Their bases are small, scattered, and seemingly poorly defended." Red moved closer to examine the detailed surface scans. After 50 cycles as a military scout for the stellar Concordat, they had assessed hundreds of civilizations for potential conquest. Something about Earth didn't add up. "What about their military personnel count?" Red asked, mandibles clicking in thought. Officer Green looked up from their station, confusion evident in their bioluminescent patterns. "That's the strange part, Commander. Their public records suggest active military forces numbering in the millions for several of their larger nations, but the bases we're detecting couldn't possibly house even a tenth of that number." Red's antenna twitched, a sign of deep thought among their species. The humans claimed to have millions of soldiers, yet their visible military infrastructure was tiny compared to civilizations with similar force sizes. Either the humans were lying about their numbers, or they were hiding something. "Launch deep scan probes," Red ordered. "Focus on their largest military installations. I want to know what we're missing." The crew worked in silence as dozens of microscopic probes descended through Earth's atmosphere. Each one was smaller than a grain of sand, designed to gather detailed information while remaining undetectable to local scanning technology. Hours passed as data streamed back to the ship. Red studied the findings with growing confusion. The human bases they could see were oddly basic. Simple airfields, barracks, and training grounds. Where were their massive supply depots? Their vehicle pools? Their weapon storage facilities? "Commander," Officer White called out suddenly, "I'm detecting unusual power signatures from their bases. They appear to be drawing massive amounts of energy, but we can't determine where it's being used." Red's confusion deepened. A civilization at this technology level shouldn't be able to handle such power throughput. They had expected Earth to be an easy target for the Concordat's expansion plans, but these readings suggested capabilities far beyond their apparent development level. "Show me their orbital defense network," Red commanded, trying to piece together the puzzle. The holographic display shifted to show Earth's satellite system. Red noted with interest that the humans had deliberately left large sections of their orbit unprotected, another oddity for a species that had achieved spaceflight. "Sir," Blue interrupted, "we've detected something unusual in their civilian sectors. Their shopping centers, sports facilities, and public buildings, they all have power systems far larger than they should need." Red's upper eyes narrowed while their lower ones widened, an expression of intense focus in their species. They had seen something similar once before, on a world that had. "Pull all probes back immediately," Red ordered sharply. "Adjust our orbit to maximum safe distance." The crew rushed to comply, though their confusion was evident in their fluctuating color patterns. "Commander," Green questioned softly, "what did you see?" Red continued staring at the peaceful-looking planet below, their thoughts racing. "We're not seeing their real military," they said finally. "What we're seeing is a facade. Those oversized power systems, the missing infrastructure, the unprotected orbital paths, they're all part of a pattern." "What pattern, sir?" "A pattern that suggests we're looking at a civilization that has mastered something our analysts thought impossible on this scale." Red's color pattern shifted to deep purple, a sign of grave concern. "We need to look deeper, much deeper, because if I'm right, what we're seeing up here isn't their military at all. It's just the tip of something far, far larger." The scout ship adjusted its position, maintaining its invisible vigil above the Earth. On the surface below, life continued as normal, while deep underground, the truth of humanity's true military might lay hidden, waiting. 3 days into their observation mission, Commander Red's scout team had compiled an extensive list of apparent weaknesses in Earth's military infrastructure. The longer they watched, the more vulnerable the human forces appeared, and that made Red increasingly nervous. "Replay the transport monitoring footage," Red ordered, standing before the ship's main display screen. The holographic image showed a small military base in what humans called North America. Officer Blue manipulated the controls, and the footage began to play. "As you can see, Commander, their supply trucks enter these bases carrying enough materials for perhaps 1,000 soldiers. Yet their official records claim each base houses 10 times that number." "Show me their food storage facilities," Red commanded, their lower eyes focusing on the base's layout. The image shifted, revealing surprisingly small warehouses. Officer Green spoke up from their station. "Their food storage could only support their claimed forces for approximately 2 days, Commander." "It's the same pattern we're seeing globally." Red's antenna twitched rapidly. "Either their record-keeping is completely wrong, or what, Commander?" White asked, their color patterns showing curiosity. "Or they're not storing anything above ground," Red finished. "Check the power usage of those bases again. Compare it to standard life support requirements." The crew worked quickly, pulling up comparison charts. Blue's color patterns shifted to show confusion. "Sir, these bases are using enough power to support populations 50 times their visible size, but we can't detect where that energy is going." Red moved closer to the display, studying the seemingly simple human military installations. Their years of experience screamed that they were missing something obvious. The humans were either incredibly inefficient with their energy usage, or they were powering something hidden from view. "Launch a geological survey probe," Red ordered suddenly. "I want to know what's under these bases." The probe's data began streaming in within hours. The first scans showed normal underground foundations, utility systems, and bedrock. But as they scanned deeper, they encountered something unexpected, areas where their scans couldn't penetrate. "Report," Red demanded, seeing Officer White's agitated color patterns. "Commander, we're detecting large zones of sensor interference beginning at approximately 100 meters below each base. The pattern is too regular to be natural." Red's suspicions grew stronger. "Cross-reference this with civilian areas. Check their major cities, especially those strange oversized shopping centers we noted." The results came back quickly, and they were startling. Similar interference patterns appeared under many civilian structures, forming vast networks that connected military bases to city centers. "They've built something massive underground," Red concluded, their color patterns shifting to show both admiration and concern. "The surface bases aren't their actual military installations. They're just entrance points." The crew fell silent as the implications sank in. They had been documenting what they thought were critical weaknesses, but they had been looking at a carefully constructed facade. "New mission parameters," Red announced. "We need to find a way to scan through their interference. Whatever they're hiding down there, it's big enough to require enormous power input and sophisticated shielding. No species goes to these lengths unless they're hiding something significant." Officer Blue raised a valid point. "Commander, could this be why their orbital defenses seem so sparse? Perhaps they focused their military development underground instead of in space." "Possibly," Red agreed, their antenna moving in a pattern of deep thought. "But that would mean—" They were interrupted by Officer Green's urgent call. "Commander, we're detecting massive energy spikes from one of the bases. Something's happening." The team watched as the small, seemingly insignificant human military base suddenly sprang to life. Panels in the ground began to move, and what they had thought was a simple airfield started to transform. "Record everything," Red ordered sharply. "The humans are about to show us something, and I have a feeling we're not going to like what we see." As the base's transformation continued, Red couldn't shake the feeling that they had stumbled onto something far more significant than a simple military assessment mission. The true scope of human military might was still hidden, but they were about to get their first real glimpse of what lay beneath Earth's peaceful surface. The scout ship's crew watched in stunned silence as the small military base transformed before their eyes. What had appeared to be a simple airfield split apart, revealing massive underground chambers. Steel doors larger than battleships slid open, and from the depths emerged row after row of military vehicles that should not have existed on a world at Earth's technology level. "Full sensor sweep," Commander Red ordered, their voice tight with tension. "I want to know exactly what we're looking at." Officer Blue's color patterns flickered with disbelief as they processed the data. "Commander, these vehicles, they're not primitive. The energy readings suggest propulsion systems at least equal to our own, possibly superior." "How many?" Red demanded. From this single base, Green began counting. "Over 10,000 units so far, and they're still coming. But that's not the most concerning part, sir." Red's 4 eyes focused on Green. "Explain." "The underground chamber this base connects to. It's not just a garage or storage facility. We're detecting complete manufacturing facilities down there. They could replace every vehicle they're bringing up within days." The implications hit Red like a physical blow. One base, previously thought to house perhaps 1,000 soldiers, had just revealed enough military hardware to conquer a small planet. And this was just one base of thousands they had documented across Earth. "Show me the deep scans of the chamber network," Red commanded. The main display lit up with a 3-dimensional map. What they saw defied belief. The underground chamber didn't just extend beneath the base. It connected to a vast network of tunnels and facilities, stretching hundreds of kilometers in every direction. "Sir," White called out, their voice shaking slightly, "I found something in their historical records that might explain this. The humans have a military doctrine they call strategic depth. During their last global conflict, many of their industries went underground to survive bombing raids." Red's antenna twitched as the pieces fell into place. They never stopped. After the war, they didn't return to the surface. They just kept building deeper. The display updated as more data poured in. The network under this single base connected to others, forming a web of underground infrastructure that boggled the mind. Factories, barracks, power plants, and storage facilities, all hidden beneath the surface, with the small bases above serving as mere access points. "New contact," Blue suddenly announced. "Something massive is emerging." The crew watched as another set of doors opened in what had been a nearby empty field. From the ground rose a structure that made their previous discoveries seem minor by comparison. It was a mobile command center, but on a scale that suggested the humans had found a way to move mountains. "Analysis," Red ordered, fighting to keep their color patterns steady. "The structure it's a self-contained military city," Commander Blue reported. "Living quarters for at least 100,000 personnel, manufacturing facilities, defense systems, and, sir, it can move. The whole thing is on some kind of massive track system." Red's worst fears were being confirmed. They built their entire military-industrial complex underground. Everything we saw on the surface was just for show. They paused, watching as more massive structures emerged from hidden doors in the earth. "Check the other bases. I want to know if this is happening elsewhere." The reports flooded in. All across Earth, military bases were transforming. Hidden doors opened in fields, forests, and even under bodies of water. What had appeared to be a moderately armed world was revealing itself to be a military power unlike anything the stellar Concordat had ever encountered. "Commander," White spoke up quietly, "I think I understand now why their orbital defenses seem so basic. They didn't build up into space because they built down into the planet itself. They turned their entire world into a fortress." Red's color patterns shifted to deep purple, a sign of extreme concern. "No," they corrected, "not a fortress. An arsenal. and we just witnessed them beginning to open it. As they watched more and more military might emerge from Earth's depths, Red realized with growing dread that they weren't observing a simple planetary defense force. They were watching a sleeping giant wake up, and their presence might have just triggered something they couldn't stop. Commander Red's scout team had debated their next move for hours. The revelation of Earth's underground military complexes had changed everything, but they still didn't know how quickly humans could respond to a threat. They needed to test human capabilities without triggering a full military response. "The test drone is in position," Officer Blue reported, their color patterns showing nervous anticipation. "It's positioned to appear as a malfunctioning weather satellite." Red's antenna moved in a pattern of acknowledgement. Their plan was simple: drop a small probe into Earth's atmosphere, make it look like an accident, and observe how the humans reacted. "Launch the test," they ordered. The drone descended through Earth's atmosphere, its heat shield glowing as it appeared to tumble out of control. It was all carefully calculated to look like a failed satellite, rather than an alien probe. "Impact in 30 seconds, Green announced, targeting an uninhabited area near one of their smaller military bases. The drone struck the ground with a small explosion, leaving a crater about 10 meters wide. Red and their crew watched, waiting to see how long it would take the humans to respond. They didn't have to wait long. "Multiple contacts," White called out suddenly. Emergency doors opening in every direction. The ground around the impact site split apart as hidden bunkers revealed themselves. Within 2 minutes, the small base they had chosen had transformed into a massive military installation. Armored vehicles poured out of underground garages, and anti-aircraft weapons emerged from what had appeared to be ordinary hills. But that was just the beginning. "Commander," Blue's voice shook slightly, "it's not just the local base responding. We're detecting massive movement across the entire continent." The main display showed an overwhelming cascade of activity. Every military base within 1,000 kilometers was activating. Hidden doors opened in forests, deserts, and mountains. What had appeared to be small towns transformed as buildings sank into the ground, revealing military installations beneath. "Response time?" Red asked, trying to maintain professional detachment. "Under 5 minutes from impact to full deployment of local forces," Green reported. "But sir, it's still spreading. The activation sequence is triggering responses globally." Red watched in growing alarm as their simple test triggered a planetary-scale mobilization. Massive structures rose from the oceans, revealing underwater bases they hadn't even detected. Ordinary highways split apart, exposing launch sites for aircraft they hadn't known existed. "Sir," White's color patterns showed pure shock. "The humans aren't just responding locally. Their entire global military network is activating. The energy readings, they're beyond anything we thought possible for this world." The scout ship's sensors were overwhelmed by the scale of the human response. Every continent showed similar patterns of activation. Underground facilities they hadn't even detected were revealing themselves, each one larger and more sophisticated than their surface scanning had suggested possible. "New contact," Blue shouted. "Something's rising from their northern polar region." The crew watched as a structure larger than any they'd seen yet emerged from beneath the ice. It was a command and control center that dwarfed cities, its defense systems already active and scanning the skies. They built backup command centers under the poles. Red realized, their color patterns shifting to show both awe and fear. Their entire planet is a layered defense system. The activation continued spreading. Each revealed facility triggered more responses, creating a cascade effect that transformed Earth's surface. What had started as a simple test had awakened a military machine beyond anything the stellar Concordat had prepared for. "Sir," Green spoke quietly, "based on these readings, what we're seeing, it's still only a partial mobilization. They're treating this as a minor incident." Red's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as they processed this information. Their test drone had triggered what appeared to be the largest military mobilization they'd ever witnessed, and the humans considered it a minor response. "End the test," Red ordered. "Prepare a priority transmission to the Concordat. They need to know what we found here." They paused, watching as more facilities continued to reveal themselves. "And they need to know that any attack on Earth would be suicide." Commander Red stared at the stream of data flooding their ship's systems. What had started as a simple military assessment had turned into the discovery of the largest armed force their species had ever encountered. Their test probe had triggered only a partial response, but even that partial activation had revealed military might beyond imagination. "Final count on the mobilized forces," Red asked, their color patterns still showing shock hours after the initial response. Officer Blue consulted their displays. "From what we can detect, the humans activated approximately 50 million combat personnel in response to our probe. Supporting logistics staff numbers around 200 million. But Commander," Blue's patterns flickered with disbelief, "these numbers represent less than 5% of their total military capacity." The implications were staggering. Red moved to the main display, watching as their computers tried to calculate the true scale of Earth's forces. "Show me their production capabilities." Officer Green brought up a new set of readings. "The facilities we've detected can produce more military equipment in a day than most civilizations can make in a year. They're underground factories." Green paused, double-checking the numbers. "They could outfit a new army of 1 million soldiers every week. And that's just their current production level. They're not even operating at full capacity." "Their storage facilities are even more impressive," White added, bringing up new scans. "The underground complexes we found contain enough supplies to fight a war lasting decades. They'd been stockpiling resources for generations." Red's antenna twitched rapidly as they processed this information. "Show me their automated units." The display shifted to reveal endless rows of robotic combat machines, each one more advanced than their initial scans had suggested possible. They had been stored in massive underground hangars, waiting for activation. "Automated forces number in the billions," Blue reported. "They've built enough robotic units to fight a war across multiple star systems. Their AI systems appear to be limited but highly specialized for combat roles." "And their space capability?" Red asked, though they dreaded the answer. White brought up the orbital scans. "Those primitive satellites we detected. They're decoys. We found evidence of hidden shipyards inside their larger mountains. They could launch a space fleet large enough to blockade a dozen worlds within days." The crew fell silent as they contemplated the scale of what they had discovered. Earth wasn't just a defended planet. It was a military-industrial complex disguised as a civilian world. Every city concealed batteries of weapons. Every mountain could become a fortress. Every ocean hid submarines carrying enough firepower to level continents. "New data from the polar facility," Green announced suddenly. "Commander, you need to see this." The display showed the massive command center that had risen from the Arctic ice. Its true size was finally becoming clear. The facility extended kilometers deep into the Earth's crust. But it wasn't alone. "There are more of them," Red observed, their color patterns shifting to deep purple. "How many backup command centers have they built?" "We've confirmed at least 50 major command facilities of similar scale," Blue reported, "each one capable of coordinating global military operations independently. They've made it impossible to disable their command structure with a single strike." Red moved closer to the display, watching as their computers continued to catalog Earth's military assets. The numbers were beyond comprehension. The humans had spent centuries building up their forces in secret, hiding their true strength beneath a carefully maintained facade of normalcy. "Their strategy is brilliant," Red admitted, their antenna moving in a pattern of reluctant admiration. "They knew that someday, someone would come from the stars, so they'd built their defenses to be overwhelming. No sane military commander would launch an attack after seeing this level of preparation." The crew watched as more hidden facilities revealed themselves, each one adding to the impossible tally of Earth's military might. What they had thought would be an easy conquest had turned out to be potentially the most formidable military power in known space. "Prepare the emergency report," Red ordered. "The Concordat needs to know that Earth isn't just capable of defending itself. If provoked, they could likely conquer our entire civilization. We're not looking at a potential target anymore. We're looking at a sleeping superpower." The scout ship's communication array hummed at full power as Commander Red prepared to transmit their emergency report to the stellar Concordat. Every passing hour revealed more of Earth's hidden military might, and time was running out. "Are we sure our transmission won't be detected?" Red asked, their color patterns showing intense concern. Officer Blue checked the communication systems again. "Negative, Commander. The humans are actively scanning all frequencies now. They'll detect any long-range transmission we make." "We have no choice," Red decided. "The Concordat must be warned. The invasion fleet cannot be allowed to approach this system." The crew worked quickly to compile their findings. The evidence was overwhelming. Sensor readings of the underground complexes, footage of the mobilization, calculations of Earth's true military strength. But most importantly, their conclusion: Earth must not be attacked. "Transmission ready," White announced. "But sir, the humans have begun launching new satellites. Our window of opportunity is closing." Red's antenna moved in a pattern of determination. "Send it. Full broadcast power." The message began transmitting, carrying with it the most urgent warning the scout team had ever sent. "Priority alert to Stellar Concordat High Command. Classification: Extinction level threat. Earth assessment complete. Do not proceed with invasion." Repeat: "Do not proceed with invasion." First data packet sent. Green reported. Beginning transmission of supporting evidence. Suddenly, all their displays flickered. The ship's sensors detected massive energy signatures from Earth's surface. Multiple launches detected. Blue called out, "They've tracked our transmission." Red watched in horror as objects began rising from Earth's surface, not from the known military bases, but from locations they hadn't even identified as military installations. What looked like civilian office buildings split apart, revealing launch silos. Shopping centers transformed into anti-orbital weapon platforms. "Continue the transmission," Red ordered. "They must understand what they're dealing with." The message continued. "Earth's military capability grossly underestimated. Surface installations are a deception. True forces hidden underground. Numbers exceed all known military powers combined. Manufacturing capability unlimited. Automated forces in the billions. Space warfare capability hidden but extensive." "Sir," White interrupted, their color patterns flashing with alarm. "The humans are activating something in the asteroid belt. We're detecting energy signatures matching our own FTL technology." Red's four eyes widened in shock. The humans hadn't just prepared for ground warfare. They had hidden military installations throughout their entire solar system. "Final transmission," Red dictated urgently. "Earth is not a target. Earth is a sleeping giant with military might beyond anything in known space. Any attack would trigger total mobilization. The humans have spent centuries preparing for interstellar war. They are ready for everything we could throw at them. And worse, they have weapons and technologies we've never seen before." The ship's sensors screamed warnings as more human defenses revealed themselves. What they had thought were simple communication satellites transformed into weapon platforms. Asteroid mining operations turned out to be camouflaged fleet anchorages. "They're bracketing our position," Blue reported nervously. "Their targeting systems are more advanced than anything we've encountered." "Complete the transmission," Red ordered. Their final warning had to reach the Concordat. "Do not approach Earth. Do not threaten Earth. What we thought was a primitive civilization is actually a military superpower that has spent generations preparing for war while hiding their true strength. The surface installations we initially observed represent less than 1% of their actual military capacity. As the last data packet transmitted, the humans' response became clear. Their ship was now surrounded by previously hidden defense platforms, each one capable of destroying them instantly. Yet the weapons remained inactive, a clear show of force rather than an attack. Message received from Earth. White announced, their color patterns showing surprise. It's in our language. Red's antenna twitched as they read the message. We know you're there. We've known since you arrived. This demonstration was courteous compared to what we're capable of. Take this message to your leaders. Earth is not to be tested again. The scout ship hung in space, surrounded by Earth's revealed might, as Red realized that their mission had discovered something far more significant than a potential conquest. They had found a civilization that had spent its entire history preparing for this very moment. General Stone stood in the central command chamber of Earth's Global Defense Center, watching the alien scout ship's transmission to their homeworld on multiple holographic screens. Around him, dozens of officers monitored the situation from their stations, though everyone knew the real control center was half a kilometer deeper underground. Play the alien commander's reaction to the industrial complex reveal again. Stone ordered, his weathered face showing slight amusement. A junior officer brought up the footage. The aliens' color patterns shifted dramatically as they witnessed the massive underground factories emerging from beneath what they had thought was a simple military base. Their scans only detected about 8% of our actual military strength, reported Colonel Davis, checking her tablet. Just as we planned. The surface bases played their role perfectly, looking just strong enough to be noticed, but weak enough to be underestimated. Stone nodded, walking to the main strategic display. It showed the true scope of Earth's military might, not the mere billions of combat units the aliens had detected, but the real numbers that would have sent them running in terror. Did they spot any of the Jupiter installations? Stone asked. No, sir, Davis replied. The gas giant shipyards remained completely hidden. They also missed the Mars underground bases and the Venus defense platforms. Their scans never penetrated our deeper deceptions. The general allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for this moment, ever since the first scientists had theorized that alien life must exist. Every war, every conflict throughout human history had taught them valuable lessons. But the most important lesson was simple: be prepared. Send the stand-down code to the orbital defense grid, Stone ordered. Let's show our visitors we can be reasonable, as long as they got the message. The weapons surrounding the alien vessel powered down, though everyone knew they could reactivate in milliseconds if needed. The aliens had only seen the first layer of Earth's defenses, and that had been frightening enough to send them running. Sir, a communications officer called out, we're intercepting their final report to their homeworld. Translating now. The alien commander's warning played across the screens, describing Earth as a sleeping giant, a military superpower that had hidden its true strength. Stone listened with satisfaction. Everything had gone exactly as planned. Interesting that they think we've spent centuries preparing for them specifically, Davis noted. They don't realize this is just how humanity has always been. We didn't build all this because we were waiting for aliens. We built it because we never stopped preparing for the worst. Stone walked to the window overlooking the massive underground city that housed millions of military personnel and their families. Similar complexes existed beneath every continent, a testament to humanity's determination to survive anything the universe might throw at them. Send a message to all commands, Stone ordered. Return to standard readiness level. The test was successful. Do you think they'll try anything, sir? Davis asked. Stone shook his head. Their reaction was exactly what our psychologists predicted. They're a conquest-oriented species, but not a foolish one. They'll report back that Earth is too well defended to attack, and they'll be right, even though they only saw a fraction of our true capabilities. The general turned to face his staff, his expression serious. Humanity didn't become the most formidable military power in known space because we were expecting visitors. We did it because our history taught us to always be ready, to always prepare for the worst. These aliens thought they found a sleeping giant, but the truth is, we were never sleeping. We were waiting. On the main screen, the alien scout ship began moving away from Earth, no doubt carrying their warning of humanity's overwhelming military might. They would tell stories of the impossible human army hidden beneath the Earth, of the military-industrial complex that could outfit armies of billions. But they would never know about the quantum weapons platforms in the Kuiper Belt, the antimatter production facilities inside Mercury, or the fact that humanity had already mapped out their entire civilization using probes they never detected. Let them spread the word, Stone said quietly. Earth isn't to be trifled with. Not now. Not ever. As the alien ship disappeared into FTL, humanity's greatest deception remained intact. They hadn't just prepared for war, they had already won it before it began.